Hi, this is Teresa Strong from FPWR, and I'm joined today by Carolyn Verona Diaz, and we're excited to share with you a new paper that's come out that many of you participated in this study. So we're excited to report that it's been published in the Orphanet Journal of Rare Diseases, and you can download the full article here. This was a study of the variability and change over time of weight and BMI in adolescents and adults with PWS. And this was a 6-month text-based study that some of you participated in, where we asked every week over 6 months for you to report your loved one's weight and some other characteristics so that we could look at how weight changes over time for individuals with PWS in the real world setting. So just living at home, no specific interventions, as a way of understanding the baseline characteristics of our PWS population. So I'll ask Caroline to walk us through some of the data that we found.
Thanks, Teresa. So as she mentioned, we don't really know a lot about baseline variability or how weight changes over time in the normal PWS population in the real world. So we wanted to do a study looking at that variability and change in time over 6 months in people with PWS 12 years and older. And we also wanted to look at some potential factors that could affect weight change, like diet, medication, food access, and environment. So we had 165 participants from the United States and Canada, age ranging between 12 and 48 years old. So when we looked at the BMI for age categories, we found that 52% of our study was obese, along with 15% overweight. So that is higher than the typical US population. But that percentage remained relatively stable throughout the study. So this is what's called a spaghetti plot. So each line that you see is a single person in the study. So all of these are broken up into age and gender. So the top row is female, bottom row is male, left column's younger than 18, right column's 18 and older. So as you can see, that bottom right-hand corner, the males 18 and older, they had the highest weights of all of the different subcategories. But as you can see, over all the categories, there's a lot of variability in the starting weights. But as you can see, each line is a person, so the weights remain relatively stable throughout our 6-month study. So when we look at the mean percent change in weight and mean percent change in BMI over time, we see that the mean percent weight change was 2.35% increase, while the mean change in BMI was plus 1.42% increase. We did have a wide range in weight change and BMI change. We did find that those under 18 gained weight and changed their BMI a little bit faster, but that just could be because those under 18 are still growing. So here's what we call a waterfall plot. Each vertical line is a single participant in our study. And so we found that in red, those are gained weight or increased their BMI. Those in green either decreased their weight or their BMI. So as you can see, once again, there's a wide range in changes in weight and BMI. But what was helpful or hopeful is that the majority of our participants, about 80%, had a change in weight or BMI of less than 5% increase. So there's really only a minority of those that had a very drastic increase in their weight and their BMI over these 6 months.
Great, thank you, Caroline. So just a summary. So we saw that weight and BMI increased over time. You know, while most of the weights were stable, it's important to note that the increase was more than is seen in the typical adult population over that amount of time. And there's a wide variability in the baseline values too in our population. So this just gives us an idea of what the PWS population is in the real world and how that might change. We did see these faster increases in the weight. And we didn't talk about it today, but we did look at some of the factors that might impact the BMI changes. And those included the time, so the length of time on the study, the participant, and importantly, the percent of life that that individual had spent getting growth hormone therapy. So we saw that growth hormone was associated with a lower BMI in all age ranges, and the more time you spent on growth hormone, the lower your BMI was in general. Again, supporting the use of growth hormone therapy in PWS. Importantly, we had a really high compliance rate. So you guys were great about returning weight data to us every week, and that allowed us to get some really good data and really understand what's going on. And we feel like this will be a really important data set moving forward. So we are fortunate to be in a position where we are have some potential drugs on the horizon, and having this data will help us understand how in the real world setting those new drugs are impacting weight change over time. So we really appreciate your participation in the study and getting us this baseline data that I think will be really useful for comparison for future therapies. So we'd like to thank the Mariah Foundation that generously provided funding so we could do this study, input from the FPWR research team, and mostly the participants who provided the data every week and were so helpful in getting this study done. Thanks so much.
Thank you.